I'm really excited. I have some Christmas presents for you guys in terms of episodes. Some really special episodes, like 2 or 3 that are going to come in the next 2 weeks. You're really going to be excited about. But I'm going to do Christmas a little early today. I've actually got a once-in-a-channel countdown for you that I hope will put a smile on your face and get you ready for the holidays. For this episode, we're unwrapping a Christmas countdown. But to be honest, some of these tracks weren't exactly born out of holiday cheer. One was a male and female duet that they tried several iconic females on. For years, they tried to nail down this vocal. They did take after take, singer after singer. Nothing worked. Finally, the producer's wife got so fed up, she walked into the vocal booth and did a perfect take. Another was actually written by a musical genius despite a hero and a rival producer. Plus, we got the story of the classic track that legendary singer tried to sabotage in the studio. He treated it like a joke, but it ended up anchoring one of the highest-selling Christmas albums ever. There's also the rock legend who was tangled up in legal disputes, so he couldn't release any music. But his manager bootlegged a live recording, a Christmas recording, and distributed it to radio stations. It created a major hit. Problem is, nobody could purchase it for 6 years. But putting all this drama aside, and there's some great stories here, I hope this episode will help you keep the good vibes going through the holiday season. Let's do it. Hey, music junkies. Today we're getting into the Christmas spirit and counting down my picks for the greatest Christmas songs of the rock era. Emphasis on rock. This isn't going to be your typical holiday playlist. I mean, as good as they are, we're not going to celebrate the classics from the 30s and 40s or before. We're digging into the drama, the disasters, and the downright bizarre stories behind Christmas tracks performed by some of your favorite rock bands. Some are not rock bands, but most of them are. Let's get started. Kicking off the countdown at number 10, it's a strange one. The Pogues with Fairy Tale in New York.
And the bells are ringing out for Christmas Day.
About as bittersweet a Christmas song as you can imagine, the Pogues and Christy McCall's Celtic folk-flavored Fairy Tale of New York has become the UK's most played Christmas song of the 21st century. But getting there was nothing short of a marathon battle that nearly bankrupted the band. Now, this whole thing started with a bet. In 1985, producer Elvis Costello challenged the Pogues to write a commercially successful Christmas hit. Now, this dare was specifically prompted by Band-Aid's Do They Know It's Christmas? Elvis Costello and the band were determined to create an alternative to that song's sugary sentimentality. Maybe they were a little frustrated they didn't get invited to the party. I don't know. They wanted to write something dark and deeply emotional about the life of an immigrant struggling with poverty, addiction, and dash hopes. But writing Fairy Tale in New York, that proved to be a nightmare. The band's first attempt in 1986, that was rejected outright. Then they tried again in 1987 with producer Steve Lillywhite in London, and then again in New York. I mean, this song was complex, requiring string arrangements and multiple studio hours while dealing with Shane MacGowan's meandering focus. The extended failed sessions became an expensive financial drain, though, putting significant strain on the band's resources. Over 2 years and 3 different attempts, the costs kept mounting. And then came the life-saving intervention. During what became the final recording session, the male vocals were done by this point, but they still hadn't nailed down the female part. Now, Steve Lillywhite had brought in various singers, but none of them were working. Take after take, singer after singer, they couldn't get it down. And that's when Steve's wife got frustrated. His wife was Christy McCall. She walked into the studio and she delivered an ultimatum. She was not leaving until she'd done the take herself. Her raw, compassionate performance instantly gave the song exactly what it needed. The contrast between her clear voice and Shane's raspy delivery, that created the dramatic tension that made the song truly work.
Pretty queen of New York City, when the band finished playing, they held out for more.
Released in 1987, Fairy Tale in New York was held off the UK Christmas #1 slot by Pet Shop Boys' cover of Always on My Mind. And actually, the BBC banned this song for raw language. Raw language like, you're a bum, you're a punk, you're an old slut on junk.
You're a bum, you're a punk, you're an old slut on junk, they're almost dead.
But the UK can't seem to get enough of this song. It's turned up in the UK singles chart top 20 every year since 2005. One of the biggest songs ever. All right, coming in at number 9, this is hilarious. It's Oh Come All You Faithful by none other than Twisted Sister. So back in the 80s, frontman Dee Snider famously testified before the U.S. Senate, fighting to defend rock music against the PMRC's demands for explicit content labeling. of course led by Tipper Gore and other politicians' wives. Now, 2 decades later, Dee Snider got his revenge in the most unexpected way possible, with a Christmas album. Released in October of 2006, A Twisted Christmas became Twisted Sister's 7th and final studio album. But this wasn't just a holiday cash grab. This was a deliberate, legally sound musical joke wrapped in festive cheer. The centerpiece was their version of O Come All Ye Faithful, which Snider revealed in multiple interviews perfectly matched the rhythm and meter for their biggest hit, We're Not Gonna Take It. When We're Not Gonna Take It became a smash, many people pretty much knew that Twisted Sister had lifted it. Dee executed this musical sleight of hand as an elaborate prank on their critics, though, turning the hymn into a metalized version of their protest anthem. And since O Come All You Faithful was in the public domain, they could use the lyrics without paying massive royalties, while their publisher received royalties for the musical arrangement, the We're Not Gonna Take It riff, so there's that. Snider has framed it as a brilliant move, allowing them to cash in on a musical parody executed under the guise of holiday spirit. The transformation, it was complete. The same music industry figures who'd once tried to censor them now had to market and distribute a Twisted Sister album. Their protest music became background noise at holiday parties and shopping malls, an act of ultimate subversion against the censorship movement. But Snider knew that there could be backlash. The band was fully prepared for churches and conservative groups to picket them for turning a sacred hymn into a metal song. Now, to preempt this, though, Twisted Sister used A Twisted Christmas as a vehicle for charity. Dee Snider partnered with various veterans organizations and food banks, often donating proceeds from the single and the tour. This public-facing goodwill campaign effectively diffused any major protest out there. The strategic move ensured their album was treated as a novelty rather than a blasphemy. Snider had won, transforming his band from censored rebels into charitable Christmas carolers, all while playing the exact same riff that made them famous. Next up at number 8, I've got the king, Elvis Presley, with Blue Christmas. This is a great story. Blue Christmas. Blue Christmas had, of course, been a hit in the 40s and early 50s for artists like Ernest Tubb and Russ Morgan and others. Written by Billy Hayes and J.W. Johnson, the melancholic track was first recorded by Doyle Odell in 1948. I'll have a blue Christmas. But you know, with one quivering vocal, Elvis made it his own. I'll have a blue Christmas. The sublimely melancholy classic, it became Elvis's for all time with that. This even though Elvis did not want to record it. In fact, get this, he actively tried to sabotage the recording session multiple times. Backup singers like Millie Kirkham, who provided that famous high-pitched vocal trill, I'll be so blue, and of course the Jordanaires, they confirmed in later interviews that Elvis was not at all fired up about recording Christmas material. He didn't want to do it. He believed he would be ridiculed. Before tracking Blue Christmas, Elvis allegedly told Kirkham, you know, let's just have some fun. We're going to do something silly here. That's my best Elvis impersonation. He reportedly joked afterward, well, we're never going to release that anyway. Yeah, he meant that, you know, he was essentially trying to record a throwaway track to sabotage the sessions. He knew it wouldn't go anywhere. But the rockabilly result with his silly high soprano well inadvertently created a masterpiece. It became an enduring standard that we still listen to. He tried to sabotage it and it became an all-timer. How often did that happen? Actually, quite a bit. Now, when Blue Christmas appeared on Elvis's Christmas album in 1957, it ignited a cultural war against rock and roll. I mean, the album was seen by many critics as a profane mix of sacred hymns and secular rock tracks. While the main controversy centered on Elvis's rockabilly rendition of Irving Berlin's White Christmas, Blue Christmas was part of the 8-song rock and roll section that generated a lot of this fury. Of a white Christmas. Critics condemned Elvis, his barnyard version of Christmas music, as being in extremely bad taste and wildly inappropriate, their words. This even led to Canadian radio stations and then several independent U.S. stations imposing outright bans on the album, creating a media spectacle where DJs were reportedly fired for playing the King's Christmas tunes. Despite, or, because of it, because of the controversy. Elvis's Christmas album moved over 17 million copies and remains one of the world's best-selling Christmas albums ever. Blue Christmas secured its status as a rock and roll holiday classic, and even though Elvis wanted to sabotage it, critics wanted to ban it. People, they wanted to hear it, and so many decades later, we're still listening.
Blue, blue, blue Christmas.
Hey, I'm wearing my Vintage Years collection shirt. Make sure to get yours. We celebrate all the great years of music, and we got a special going all through the holidays. You can get it below or right here at the link. Heading into the number 7 spot is the former Beatle John Lennon with Happy Christmas, War is Over.
And so happy Christmas.
Leave it to the late Beatle and his musical partner Yoko Ono to celebrate the Christmas season with a song about the Vietnam War. So this one, it all started with billboards. In 1969, as part of their years-long peace activism following their famous bed-ins, John Lennon and Yoko Ono spent a fortune placing massive black and white billboards in major cities around the world. The message read, "War is over, if you want it. Happy Christmas from John and Yoko." The campaign generated significant media attention and, of course, political blowback. 2 years later, while promoting his Imagine album in '71, Lennon had a revelation. Now I understand what you have to do. Put your political message across with a little bit of honey. That honey became Happy Christmas, War is Over, a musical document transforming their billboard slogan into a commercial holiday standard. Released in 1971, this anti-Vietnam War song, wrapped in a Christmas melody, spiked all over. And Lennon spiked his activism with sweet holiday sentiments here. Despite a clear political agenda, the song soon earned a reputation as one of the best Christmas songs of all time. Certainly the best Beatles-related Christmas track of all time, for my money. As much as I love Paul McCartney, he's one of the greatest songwriters ever, probably top 3 ever. Gotta admit, his own famous Christmas song, Wonderful Christmas Time, it pales in comparison to Lennon's.
Simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
Happy Christmas uses a gentle hymn-like chord progression, acoustic guitars, sleigh bells, of course, the children's choir to evoke that Christmas feeling. It swells with emotional intensity as it goes on, moving from this sense of private reflection into a massive sing-along. Wonderful Christmas Time, though, it leans into late 70s synth textures and a repetitive, almost jingle-like structure. I know there are so many people out there that love it. I think it's one of the worst songs ever. To each their own. Let's just agree to disagree. Where Lennon aimed to create a timeless anthem, McCartney's offering is closer to a little bit of novelty. But again, no offense to those who love it. Even despite Lennon's ulterior motives in writing Happy Christmas, War is Over, it's clearly the superior song and my pick. Coming in at number 6, I've got one that's a little bit cheesy with what he says at the beginning, but I love it. The Boss with Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
This 1934 Santa has been covered by everybody from the Jackson 5 to Mariah Carey, but no rendition captures the rip-roaring excitement over Santa's arrival better than Bruce Springsteen's live version. It's just joyful. Complete with copious bells, a festive sax solo from Clarence, and the Boss riffing about how everyone in the audience is in trouble for not being good this year. It's an all-out holiday staple.
Bring your new saxophone, right? Everybody out there been good or what?
The arrangement itself is a note-for-note musical copy of the Crystals' 1963 version from Phil Spector's Christmas album. Bruce, a lifelong fanatic of Spector's Wall of Sound, he structured its cover as a deliberate homage. He borrowed the entire soundscape, including the signature slow-spoken word intro and the dramatic background vocal refrain where the band shouts, Santa Claus.
Jimmy, I just came back from a lovely trip along the Milky Way.
What? Oh, Christmas time.
But the story behind this one is wild. On December 12, 1975, at CW Post College in Greenville, New York, Springsteen spontaneously added the song to his encore. What happened next created one of the strangest situations in rock history. Due to protracted legal battles with his former management, Bruce was prohibited from releasing any new studio material for like 3 years. So to keep his presence on the airwaves, Springsteen's manager bypassed their label and distributed reel-to-reel tapes of the live recording to influential rock radio stations like WNEW in New York. The song quickly became a #1 holiday request for years, creating the bizarre situation where a massive radio hit was technically unavailable for commercial sale. For nearly 6 years, the version played on every major rock station was effectively, it was a bootleg, and it couldn't be legally purchased anywhere. When the song was finally cleared for commercial use back in 1981, it didn't appear on a B-side or a rock compilation. Rather, its official debut came on In Harmony 2, a children's charity album produced by Sesame Street. I mean, think about it for a second. Bruce Springsteen, the guy behind Nebraska, sharing a track list with a bunch of Muppets. It was later released as the B-side to My Hometown, though, in 1985. And man, it's remained a holiday tradition ever since and kept Bruce on the radio. All right, halfway through the countdown at number 5, I got the Beach Boys with Little Saint Nick. So in late 1963, Brian Wilson, who idolized producer Phil Spector, was invited to play piano on a track for Spector's iconic A Christmas Gift for You album. I mean, it should have been a dream come true, but instead, it became a nightmare. Scumbag Phil Spector, Scumbag Spector, publicly dismissed Brian Wilson. He told him his playing was substandard and violently discarded his take. Jealousy, pure jealousy, I'm telling you. Brian Wilson was reportedly furious and out for tinsel-tinted revenge. He immediately set out to create a Christmas song that would counter Spector's wall of sound with his own surf rock brilliance. The result was Little Saint Nick. Said Brian Wilson, and I quote, "I wrote the lyrics to it while I was out on a date, and then I rushed home to finish the music." I mean, that's how motivated he was to do this. But Brian Wilson took a shortcut. He basically recycled the core rhythm and structure of their hit Little Deuce Coupe, released just months earlier, and he just simply swapped out the lyrics while adding sleigh bells and glockenspiel, as he wanted to do. I mean, it was essentially self-plagiarism performed out of commercial necessity and ease of composition. Under intense pressure to produce multiple albums a year, Brian Wilson just repurposed his own proven formula for the Christmas track, which makes sense. Released as a single on December 9th, 1963, which was just after the death of JFK, Little Saint Nick still managed to be a hit, peaking at number 3 on Billboard's special seasonal Christmas singles chart. The song gave a holiday slant to the Beach Boys' trademark harmonies and penchant for lyrics about classic cars, but this time envisioning Santa's sleigh as Candy Apple Red Hot Rod. Now, the following year, the band released the Beach Boys' Christmas album, with the first side featuring original songs and the flip side containing traditional favorites like Frosty the Snowman and White Christmas. But there is one more twist to this. For years, the song was solely credited to Brian Wilson. In the 1990s, though, Mike Love successfully sued for co-writing credit, arguing his lyrical contributions were essential and had been unjustly omitted. The legal battle dramatically altered the publishing royalties and the song's official history, highlighting the deep, bitter divisions that plagued the band for decades. Come on, man. Brian wrote that one. It's ridiculous.
Run, run, reindeer. You don't miss no one.
Coming in at the number 4 position on our countdown, I gotta go with Band-Aid. Do They Know It's Christmas? This charity song, of course, conceived by Bob Geldof in mid-year after Geldof witnessed the devastating famine in Ethiopia on television. Now, their goal was to write a Christmas song to raise money for relief efforts, aiming for a Christmas #1 in the UK charts that would maximize sales. They decided to write an original song so that all the songwriting royalties could be donated. Now, one of the biggest challenges was assembling an A-list team of artists without contacting their management or going through their publicists. Despite that uncertainty, though, many iconic artists just showed up. Sting, George Michael, Bono, Phil Collins, Duran Duran. They all showed up for the recording sessions. The song was recorded and mixed in a tight 24-hour period to meet the Christmas deadline. The song's impact was immense, selling 1 million copies in its first week and becoming the biggest selling UK hit of all time. Of course, until 1997, when Elton John went next level with the Princess Diana version of Candle in the Wind. But Do They Know It's Christmas It inspired so much. You know, We Are the World, Live Aid. But the most important thing was that the song raised major awareness for a critical cause transcending politics and borders and bringing us all together. Midyear told me that he didn't really understand its impact until this neighbor kid walked up to him and said, "Hey, we learned about you in school today." Here's what Midyear told me about this timeless track.
Between the clanging chimes of the intro, because the moment that track starts, you know exactly what you're going to hear.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and the big sing-along at the end to give us what is now the de rigueur classic, you know, line up with all the headphones on, all singing the big chorus and Charity records.
Yeah.
That was the first one to kind of do it. So, yeah, the top and tail were the really important part, and the Bono bit in the middle.
I did make a lot of friends that day as well, so it was like a bringing together. So I made friends with John Taylor from Duran, and because we were all there on that day, it's something that we've all got in common when we meet up, you know. Yeah, it was a very special feeling.
Well, it did, as you said, it changed the world. It changed the way people looked at charity. I'm always one for, like, if you really want to change the world, become a politician. Yeah. But as a group of musicians at the time, we did help to focus the politicians around the world to a terrible tragedy. And I think from that point on, people were much more charitable. I mean, now, we have these phone-ins and all sorts of stuff where they raise money for kids and people around the world, or kids at home who are abused children, stuff like that. And that was the start of charity as we know it today. And I think it really, people talk about a load of puffy pop stars, but, I think we made a difference.
And when you guys got a chance to sing it at Live Aid, that's where David Bowie did get to participate and sing his part, Paul McCartney. Tell me about that moment.
Oh, it was glorious. I mean, it's funny if you re-look at the footage. Bob, I feel uncomfortable in things like that. There were so many people vying for front position at that, because it's a major, major thing. And I was kind of edging back into the crowd, and Bob came out and grabbed my wrist and pulled me up and held my arm up. But what a magic moment to be on stage with all of those people singing that song and have 100,000 people in front of you singing it, let alone the millions upon millions, maybe billions, who saw that on television around the world singing it. It doesn't get bigger or better than that. What started as a tiny little seed of an idea grew into this massive movement and made caring okay again. It made it all right, made it kind of cool, because we used a medium that young people could understand. It was a medium that was apolitical. It was music, something that transcends borders and religions and creed and colour and all the crap that we end up finding reasons to fight over. All of a sudden, we were all unified. That little room that we started this off in had grown to, the planet. And everybody wanted to see a change. So we made it to number 3, and I've got to go with one that we always forget. A lot of people do. The Pretenders with 2,000 Miles.
2,000 miles.
On this one, lead pretender Chrissie Hynde delivers one of the greatest performances in holiday music history. It's such a lonesome ballad. Her bleary-eyed, octave-bounding vocal gives unimaginable emotional weight to lyrics as simple as "He's gone 2,000 miles, it's very far." This is chiming guitars fall around her like sheets of snow. Hynde tries to keep faith that he'll be back at Christmas time, but she's far more believable when she resigns herself in the song's devastating bridge. "I'll think of you wherever you go." But here's what a lot of people don't know about 2,000 Miles. I mean, despite its annual adoption as a sweet holiday song, it was written as a direct and emotional tribute to Hynde's deceased bandmates.
I'll think of you.
In 1982, the original lineup of the Pretenders was shattered by the death of guitarist James Honeyman Scott from a drug overdose. Of course, followed later by bassist Pete Farndon's death, who had been fired by the band. We covered this actually a few months ago. But Hind wrote 2,000 Miles shortly after Honeyman Scott's passing. The lyrics, full of imagery about separation, distance, and longing, they were an unfiltered expression of grief. Hind's genius was framing this personal heartbreak within the universal theme of Christmas separation, creating an enduring classic that's fundamentally about death and loss. Recording the song was a dramatic tightrope walk for her. The track appeared on the Learning to Crawl album, which served as a musical act of resurrection for the band. Now, the iconic, slightly chiming, arpeggiated guitar melody, that was played by Robbie McIntosh, the guitarist brought in to replace Honeyman Scott, and he did a great job. Chrissie Hynde specifically asked McIntosh to faithfully mimic Honeyman Scott's delicate signature style, essentially asking him to play like a ghost. McIntosh's precise execution allowed the song to sound simultaneously familiar, but also new.
Christmas time.
2,000 Miles was released as a single in November of 1983 as the lead track for the upcoming album. It quickly became a massive hit in the UK and Europe as radio stations embrace its Christmas feel. However, the song peaked and died with the holiday season, and by the time Learning to Crawl was released in January of '84, the lead single's airplay had completely evaporated, which created an uphill battle for that album. But still, 2,000 Miles endures. A haunting reminder that not all Christmas songs are about joy.
I miss you.
All right, here we are. We're one away from the number one spot. We're at the Bridesmaid. And we've got a song here that's very risky for me to cover on such a joyful countdown because Don could come after us. I hope he won't because it is Christmas. But at number 2, I've got Eagles with Please Come Home for Christmas.
Please come home for Christmas.
Now, originally released in 1960 by blues singer and pianist Charles Brown, Please Come Home for Christmas is really maybe the most melancholy Christmas tune ever recorded. It really is.
Please come home for Christmas.
Brown's version was sad enough, but Eagles, they made it even more devastating somehow with their 1978 take. They even changed his lyrics from bells will be ringing the glad, glad news to bells will be ringing the sad, sad news.
The glad, glad news. The sad, sad news.
But the real drama with this one is what was happening behind the scenes when the Eagles recorded it. In the fall of 1978, the Eagles were suffering through a bitter period trying to finish the long run. This album was overscheduled, was plagued by internal fighting. We talked about it many times. Don Henley stated in interviews that the tension had created a creative stalemate. Band members were at each other's throats and the sessions had become unbearable. Now, the idea to cover Charles Brown's classic, that was suggested by Don Henley as a way to give the exhausted band and producer Bill Szymczyk a break from the daily routine. This Christmas song about holiday melancholy and longing was actually the fastest and most easily completed track recorded during the entire long run era, which is saying something. The track also marked the official recording debut of bassist Timothy B. Schmidt, who had replaced founding member Randy Meisner earlier in 1978. Schmidt's presence signaled the band was moving forward despite its troubles. But because this was an unexpected one-off holiday single, it was a somewhat muted introduction for the new member. With Don Henley taking lead vocals, the Eagles version peaked at number 18 on the Hot 100. It wouldn't be much longer before the Eagles would break up, making this melancholy masterpiece one of their final collaborative moments. A fitting farewell wrapped in Christmas sadness. Kind of the perfect song to come out at that time.
Christmas once again.
All right, for our honorable mention, I gotta go with the full album, A Christmas Gift for You, featuring the Ronettes, Darlene Love, the Crystals, and Bobby B. Sox and the Blue Jeans. I'm not gonna mention the man's name who appears on the album. We've mentioned it earlier. Just a jerk, but a great album. So coming in at number 1, it's not a big-time rocker, but it's that one female voice that can melt the heart of every rocker. I got the Carpenters with Merry Christmas, Darling.
Merry Christmas, darling.
Okay, y'all know how I love the Carpenters, so this should come as no surprise. I'm ready to sing Karen Carpenter's praises any chance I get. So let's get into it. Karen and Richard had always been fond of Christmas music. As early as 1971, they were telling interviewers they'd soon be working on a holiday album. However, with the whirlwind schedule following Close to You and We've Only Just Begun, they were lucky to compete a regular album each year, which was expected back then, right?
We've only just begun.
That promised Christmas record, it just kept getting pushed back and back. The breakthrough came, though, with their television specials. On December 8, 1976, ABC aired the Carpenters' very first television special. This placed number 6 in the Nielsen ratings. Huge. This success led to more specials, including the Carpenters at Christmas on December 9, 1977. And as Richard recalled, it was while selecting and recording music for this special that Karen and I decided the time had come to finally record that Christmas album. The siblings patterned their project after a favorite, Spike Jones's 1956 Christmas Spectacular, featuring more songs than the average album, both sacred and secular, along with top-notch choral singing. Richard Carpenter selected and recorded more than enough material to stretch the limit of what could fit on an LP back then. But you know, Richard was dealing with a lot of problems at this time. He was battling demons. He later admitted being at his lowest point, dealing with a sleeping pill problem, saying, "If I were at my best, I could have and would have contributed a lot more in both creativity and spirit." For the record, he turned arranging duties over to veterans Peter Knight and Billy May, limiting himself to production work and occasional piano. Still, Christmas Portrait became something truly special. Released in 1978, it featured Karen's marvelous vocals combined with an oversized studio orchestra and chorus. It's the perfect holiday album.
I'm Christmasing with you.
The album went platinum shortly after release and has become a perennial classic. Standout track for me, though, is Merry Christmas, Darling, with music that Richard wrote back in 1966 and lyrics by their University Choir director Frank Pooler. Though originally released as a single in 1970, the album included a new vocal from Karen, who wasn't satisfied with that first take.
Merry Christmas, darling.
Her performance is sublime perfection, conveying yearning and sadness and hope as she longs for her loved ones away during the holiday. Her vocal ended up being one of the finest in Christmas music history, and you can take that one to the bank. Just haunting. I love Carpenter's Christmas album. It's heaven. It really is. Now comes the big comment section. Let's celebrate these below. Did I leave anything out? What are your favorite Christmas songs of the rock era? A lot of rock bands in there, some pop, but these are truly great holiday classics. I hope you all enjoy them. Let's have a great discussion below. What are your memories? What are your Christmas memories of these songs? Let's talk about that for sure. Christmas in the 70s and 80s, just magical, and the 90s as well. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. Make sure to get your Vintage Years collection as well. You can get it right here or down below. If you like our content, again, join us. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my